Hi, my friend. It's Pat Sloan here, and it is a Scrap-a-licious Friday on our calendar. So I'm going to do a little check-in. I want to do a check-in with what have I made with the scraps? What do I actually have left of what I've collected this year of scraps? And scraps being, this is my thing that I decided to do somewhere in the middle of January, was as I was making projects or maybe cleaning up just the tail end of some fabrics, I would be keeping all that and sew them into blocks. A lot of crumb blocks. I made one pillow project, and I have there's a lot accumulated, and I've made a lot, and I had to stay on top of it because the thing is, I'm just not going to save this stuff for someday. That's just kind of not how I work. That's not inspiring for me or interesting. So for me, what I'm doing, because I'm challenging myself too, is this is what I'm doing during the year. As I'm making other things, I'm sewing up all of these pieces. So since we last talked, I have this whole grouping and a partial one and some odd shapes. And I'm going to look at this, and we're going to look in the ultimate container and in the rolling cart. Okay, so let's do it. First of all, these were from the old school block of the month because we did curved piecing with Yvonne's project this month, and so I ended up with these things and I sewed them all together, and I think they're kind of cool circles. So I'm like, what do I do with these? I could applique them down. That would be one thing. They don't have fusible in the back, but I could just hand applique them down, or you know, put a little fusible along, like glue. I could maybe run a glue edge around it, whatever. So anyways, if you have an idea of what to do with these, that's like, I just think they're cool shapes. So I did a bunch with Halloween stuff that I had, some of the Halloween fabric, which is getting slim. So there really isn't a whole lot of that left at the moment. You know, fall, Halloween, things I can put. But I did do this with some of the little half square triangles. That's fun. I love doing that. Here's one where I'm putting it in the middle. So, you know, just to make it more interesting. Let me just stick these up here real quick. So I have some light ones, and they, like this has been fun. So I've been doing a couple of these, or that, depending on how you like it, where they're just going around and around in basically the same colors. You know, so there's another one, and they're kind of the spring colors or summer colors. Then I did a bunch of red, white, and blue. And these I did sort of log cabin-ish. And there's another around, and another. So these guys, you know, there's quite a few of these summer ones. Plus, I'm not as good about the size right now. A few of them got a bit extra large, like that one. It's a little bit larger than the rest, but it's okay. In my bin, let's take a look here. In the bin, which is really full, I did end up with a lot of these little cutoffs from some projects, and it just was a little overwhelming to figure out what to do with them. A lot of them aren't even sewn together. And yes, I know you can sew them as you're sewing them on the actual patchwork, but I personally don't like to do that. I like to use them as start and stops later on. So I might get some of those out and at least sew them up so they're seamed. Most of them are seamed. And then I have all of the blocks, which were, you know, here you can tell, look at these smaller ones, and they eventually grow. Like there's a really gigantic one. So I will figure out something to do after this book is delivered. Sometime maybe in November or December, I'll start playing around with these. Then I had the strip ones, which I want to do a lot more of those. So there's a strip unit ready to make the block. And speaking of the strip units, like these are all fitting in here nicely, but pretty soon I'm gonna have to, like, I'm not getting a second bin. I will have to like sew, so there, one escaped. I'm gonna have to sew something up. All right, so the strips, I have done just a bit with the strips. I've been concentrating on the other stuff more. So I have a lot of lights in here, and then strips of darks. And these are pretty much still all from the beginning of the year. I think I just started it. I don't think I really had any of these prior. So this is a lot of strips, a lot of stuff that needs sewn into a quilt. And then my management system here is in the top of the rolling cart. And so let me just pull you in closer so you can see. Whoops, there we go. There we go. So I put it by kind of colors. So there's some blue. There's a whole set of red there that's hard to see. There we go. These sort of yellows, creams. There's a bit of the fall. This is all that I've got at the fall stuff. A pile of green, and then lights. So this is pretty manageable, and this is what I'm working all the time in order to get all of these and to get what's up on the wall right now. Those are all coming out of this top of the Rolling Assistant. And I'm sort of ignoring at the moment the strips. Like some of the things when I make, you know, have something left and it's a strip, like if I'm making a project and I have a strip of something left, if it's big enough, I put them in here. And then I will have, those may have to go roll into 2022, the strips. Might be a strip year. This may be the crumb year, and next year might be the strip year. Okay, that's my Scrap-a-licious update where I am. I would love for you to leave me in the comments if you are working scraps in any particular way, if you have a project, if you are doing what I'm doing, like trying to sew them as they appear. As they appear, you sew them up. Sew them up quick. Let me know. All right, we're going to go to the back side of the table and we're going to look at the Cotton and Steel / Ruby Society fabric for an option of my Happy Everything Sew Along coming up. So I want to see what that fabric will look like. So the other collection of fabric that I'm thinking about for the Happy Everything Sew Along, which is from, if you're just joining, this is from my book, Holiday Celebrations, this one. So we're taking blocks from there, plus a little bit of extra, and doing this layout. And I've been looking at all the different fabric options that I have that I thought I would want to play around with to make this super fun for me. And now I have my collection, and this is mostly in this basket. Mostly in this basket are the cotton and steel fabrics that I collected. Now that particular company changed names to Ruby Society. So if you'd be collecting Ruby Society, the company's prior name was Cotton and Steel. They have a lot of really funky fabrics with a lot of novelty type prints. Small, a lot of small, some big, and this particular collection I think would make a really good option, and it would let me sew with it. So I want to see what I've got in here. So I've got this vintage picnic basket. Let me get the cord out of the way. And so I like this picnic basket because it can stack because it has a flat lid on it. This particular one is pretty sturdy. All right, so originally I started collecting because I wanted to do this quilt. You know, it's on my someday list. This was from their Cotton and Steel days. So they have what I collected up in here. I have charm packs. I've got, you know, a little fat quarter bundle. I've got a layer cake of one of the lines, which I have more yardage of that line. So primarily, like here's the ladies. When we did the Splendid Sampler, I used a piece of this in one of the blocks for the Splendid Sampler. One piece, and I have like much left. Here's the fun fabric. See, it's got the faces, and there's just always super cool stuff. This is like gum wrappers. I love it, I love it, I love it. Super fun. Here's apples and pears. Yeah. So there's kind of a couple of colors. Let's see. I'm not going to look at these ones so much because they kind of mimic the same colors. Well, those ones, sorry. You're not going to go any through with those because they're pretty much some of the same colors, and then I just bought more because, you know, I didn't want to run out. Heaven forbid I should run out. So there's this bright orange, like deep orange, and it's used in a bunch of stuff. So they have a lot of fabrics with it. You know, those daisies again. Oh, this was a fabulous one. See, with the spools. Okay, And then there's this sort of tan background. I don't know if there's any more tan backgrounds. There's pinks. See, look at the little critters on there. Whistles, the whistles. This is all older stuff. You would have to go hunting and pecking all over the internet to find it. Then there's blues, creams with horses and telephones. See, and then we did the rotary dials. I used that on a project. Gosh, I don't even remember what we did it. Pink flamingos and bears. So I've got all this stuff. Lots and lots of novelty prints. Beautiful navy and blues. There's some other stuff in there, some red. So there's a whole bunch of blue. Here's funky chickens. So what am I going to do with all this? There's that tan again, and then these golds. Where'd that other tan go with the apple? Here we go. All right, so I've got kind of this hot orange, this pinks, navies, and golds. So probably this whole grouping here, the golds and the yellows and all these navies and blues and white based backgrounds, and then these oranges, these would all go pretty well. Pinks, I would do like just a pop of pink, or like here, this is, that could go in that pile. Ah, there's pandas, look at them. So this would need some, now would need some solids, you know, or things that read more solid, because all of this has a lot of pattern and a lot of activity going on. And so to put it into images, you know, that I want, like if I was going to do a heart, I could do the heart in oranges, you know, and I think for the setting of it, if I was going to do all this, I would keep some of the blues out and do the blue for the setting fabrics and the triangles and all of that. And I think that would start to hold it all together. This would be very fun. It would be super interesting. It would be a lot like the houses I showed you that had so many things going on. See, look here, hands. Okay. So this is a crazy bunch of fabric. In some ways, this is the one that I want to work with, because I think it would be just so awesome to finally see that fabric together in something, but I don't know if this is the project. You know, there might be, it might work better in a different type of project. So I'm mulling that over. The thing is, there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of pattern in them. And I think I could make it work, particularly if I did the settings less busy, you know, so I found more solid reading fabrics for that. Okay, so this is a Scrap-a-licious day and taking a look at the Happy Everything. If you don't have your fabric selections yet for that, take a look at what you own, see what's fun, what you can work with. So I love you. See you online. Mwah.